Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday. This week is going by fast, actually. Well, let's go to the charts, see how the market's been faring since yesterday. Okay, well, let's start with yes, actually. Yeah, okay, so yesterday, well, I mean, listen, it was mostly giving up all of the previous day's gains and everything, but it was a pretty big loser yesterday, and the equity markets were quite unhappy about it. Okay, so you got that going on. Then over here in ZN, we did get a little bit of flight to safety, and it's kind of continued in the overnight, which is interesting. It wasn't as strong during the regular session as it was overnight. Now, part of that, and I know I'm skipping around a little bit from usual, but there was an attempt in the Japanese yen. Okay, well, so I thought this was going to be bigger than this based on what I had read, but a little bit of an attempt to get a rise in the Japanese yen, but that one's just not going. Okay, oil's still reeling from the 2 days ago. It really sounds like a retaliation from Israel could be coming soon, but I don't know when. Stay on your toes for that. Gold and silver are pushing higher. Copper's still struggling a bit. And Bitcoin, how high am I? So yesterday there was quite an extension in Bitcoin, and now it's coming back. I'm kind of wondering, because one of the big kind of like, I don't know, was it the impetus for the downside action that we had yesterday in equities was because of reports that the U.S. administration is going to be limiting chip exports to certain countries. So could this have something to do with Bitcoin mining and stuff? I don't know if that makes sense, though. Think about this for a second. Less chips out there, less mining capacity, but that won't affect the number of Bitcoins created. I'm not really sure how that would affect, why that would cause Bitcoin to move. But Bitcoin is doing something weird now. It's been boring for months, and it is doing something interesting past 24 hours. Treasuries are on the back foot now, though. Interesting. Okay, well, let's come in here. I am like super late too, by the way. Don't know what's with that. But good morning, Octavius and Belligerent 428. That's a new name. Welcome to the stream. So glad to see you. The new name right at the very beginning. Okay, we got import-export prices. Import prices negative spot 4 versus expected negative spot 3. Export prices negative spot 7 versus an expected negative spot 4. President Laguardia is speaking today. All in all, we've had like a really, it's not really. Oh, it's auto. Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. I remember now. But why are the treasuries selling? Is this indicative of a flow out there that I don't know about? Or is this just games? When I come back to the charts and I look at the cumulative delta, there's enough cumulative delta there for me to say meta order short. But it's the beginning of the session. It's a little bit wonky. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see what it does. It seems like I'm getting a lot of activity that makes me think that, like, there's something going on, but I don't know what it is. And I'm kind of skeptical. Like, maybe there actually isn't anything going on. Someone lost... Wait, how was it a live account? Someone lost 59,000 in a Top Step live funded account? How do you know that? 15 lot NQ. Was it a live account? Because a funded account doesn't necessarily mean live. Whoa, wait, what? It was live and risk management didn't set a daily loss limit? I have not seen this. Can you link me to it? I think I can make it. Yeah. Here, I'll give you permissions. You can post the link. Have not seen this. Oh, you're on mobile? Okay. Yeah. Where are you seeing people discuss it? Don't see anything on the day trading subreddit. I don't see anything in Discord. It was on their live stream yesterday? Jeez. I mean, 59,000 probably isn't the end of the world, but it's gonna hurt them. For sure. How did risk management not have a daily... Oh... Because it's all done through Rhythmic, and it's the broker that sets those sorts of things. And if they don't have like a... But why would they not still have the daily loss limits for like the funded accounts? That is super alarming, actually. Now, the more that I think about it, I'm like, they don't have controls around this? But maybe that's because they don't really ever get that many truly live traders, you know? Okay, like if you're a prop firm and you're regularly funding successful traders and people are really making money from that, then you would almost certainly run into that situation before now. Okay. Roberts. Oh my gosh. Oh, I see. So they went to, okay. So on their stream, they were going through people and they were like, okay, let's review this guy's account. And this guy, wait, what? So it's a 150K live account. Remember, since May 2024. Okay. 1 trade per day. So it was like literally the guy's first day on live and he lost 60,000? Oh my gosh. This is still going down, by the way, in the treasuries. I'm gonna reset it there. That is, yeah, big yikes. Like, what the heck? I'm gonna save that. Here, wait. Save image. Gonna make a video about prop firms. Maybe we'll include that on it. You're in on the short, says Octavius. Good. I would expect you to be. There was a little bit of continuation, so it's now a 10K net short. That's actually pretty far for it to go for only 10K, though. Also, not really seeing the yield curve move super strongly. Maybe some movement between the 5 and 30, but not between the others. So, not between the 2 and 10 and the 10 and 30. That's crazy. And here I thought that the daily drama for us to talk about would be Asmongold. But forget him. $60,000. What the heck? But you know, like, this is another one of those things that kind of like bothers me about the prop firms, is that they say, well, you know, it's a really good thing, especially if you're just starting out, because then you have the rules and you can learn to stick to the rules, and that's one of the hardest parts of trading and yada yada yada. Well, it kind of looks like that they don't learn that, because you still get funded traders blowing accounts. NQ, man, ugh. I mean, I kind of wonder if it's one of those situations where they caught some slippage too. Like, he had 15 contracts on. So let's try and calculate this. So first of all, Apex has taken the industry in the wrong direction. I mean, how can I really blame Apex? I feel like that the very structure of the program kind of led to this. And like, maybe Top Step. It seems to me like the Top Step guys are genuine and they are a little bit different from most of the other guys. But, you know, you couldn't expect everybody else to be as good and responsible as Top Step, right? So it was just kind of like, I don't know. This kind of comes back to like my larger approach to the world, right? Like if I see a problem, okay, if I see a problem, like somebody made a mistake, okay, like maybe it's just that one time there was a mistake. But when I see this thing happening all over the place, my first thought is there's something wrong with the system, right? It's almost always something in the microstructure of this system that leads people to do it that way, right? Like we see retail traders, they all come in and take on excessive risk and then blow accounts eventually. Well, why is that? Well, it's built into the system. Humans are not very good at seeing fat-tailed distributions. They just want to win all the time. And so they are attracted to strategies that fool them into believing that the strategy is profitable, when in the long term it really is not. And that's why. Okay, what was I doing? 59,535 divided by 15. 3,000 per contract. And then specs. Minimum price fluctuation. 0.25 index points equals $5. It must not have been exactly 15 contracts, right? Is it really $5? Oh, per index point. So it's $20 per. It's $5 per tick, and there's 4 ticks per point. So it's actually $20 per point. So 3969 divided by 20, 198. So he lost more than 50 points. I think he skilled in 5 at a time. And I don't really watch NQ that much. Like, help me out here, guys. Did I get something wrong there? It's $20 a point in NQ. BS says, yep. Well, how big was this move? $242. %. So you're telling me, like, he got short down in here and he didn't bust out of it until like way down here? Like, what the heck? You know, like, I thought I was gonna go in and do all of the math on that and find out that, like, you know, he was just really over leveraged, and that's how much he lost in a minute or two when it went that, you know, went so quickly. But like, he really was sitting in this thing. It went that far against him, and he just held it until like practically down here. That's just like nutso. That was just a big old mistake. Sounds like the kind of mistake that I would maybe make, to be honest with you. But I would chicken out and blow out well before 60,000. Good grief. Oh man. And I mean, that's the quote unquote size of the account is 150K account too. Wait, so, oh, you know what? So I had a thought this morning. Okay, actually, so you know, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because this morning, probably part of the reason why I'm late Oh, actually, I have some comments. Hold on. Yeah, all night I was thinking about the Combine video because the Art Index Fund's Evil video, it was okay, but it just not performing as well as other videos. Y'all didn't watch it twice, like I asked you to, apparently. It's underperforming. Oh, this is Nancy. Yeah, Nancy Wilson. Nancy wants me to do a back test of supply and demand, and it's like, I would totally do that, but you'd have to have an indicator that objectively tells you where supply and demand actually is. I've seen indicators that try and do that, but like we'd have to agree on one and all that sort of a thing. Okay, anyways, so I was thinking about all of that, and I was like, well, it just wasn't controversial enough. I thought that our index funds evil would get people to be like, oh, no, index funds are super great, or like, yes, index funds, it's a total scam, and that they would want to talk about it. But no. But if I go and I say, prop firms are for suckers, everybody has an opinion, right? Everybody has an opinion about that. So I was thinking about that video, and one of the things that I was thinking about was my Monte Carlo simulation. And like, I don't remember if I tested all of these different things. So maybe let's come in and test some of these different things. Actually, first, before I do that, let's just take a quick look at stats. Oh, it got 95 views. My Ninja Trader Advanced Tips and Tricks gets 103 views during that same time. Analytics. Yeah, you see here's like my average videos, and it's like the worst. But that might just be because it's been so long since I've posted a video, you know? And are there really people searching for stuff about index funds? And maybe I need to change the titles and things like that. What about the click-through rate? Well, the click-through rate seems really inconsistent. So I think that maybe, what's it getting? Content suggesting. What happened to communist? Oh, that's kind of weird. Those are just like one click, huh? Okay, so maybe we need to do some optimization on the thumbnail and the title. What would be a title that people are searching for? I'll have to think about that one. But let's do some stuff related to oh yeah, this is the red flags video. Okay. So I do not have anything installed to be able to run this. I don't have Python. Oh, and is there a... Well, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, I do. I use matplotlib and numpy. Oh, I was doing it as though they were treasuries. That's interesting. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, what if, like, let's say winner was $50, loser was $50. And then I change it, winner is $500. Loser is $500. Does that change the chances of you passing the combine if you trade more leveraged? Let's try it. In order to try it, I'm going to have to install a few things because apparently I don't have Python installed. So what we're going to do, and if you want to get into this sort of stuff, I would recommend that you install... Wait, how can I not have Python installed though? That's got to be wrong because I've definitely done the... let's see here. Maybe I did do that on the other machine. Yeah, we are going to do a video on this. What is it called? Conda. Yeah, I don't have it installed. Conda install. So for Anaconda, there's different versions of it. This one is like just the basic stuff. Anaconda is kind of like a more expansive one. So I'm going to install this one since you guys are watching. Because especially for a beginner, the new one would matter more. Sorry, if you're new, then that kind of like you know, more feature laden version would be useful to you. Okay. Download for Windows. Downloads. I gotta say too, by the way, on the video thing, you guys gotta go and leave a comment on that video. Go to the index funds video. Just leave a comment, because Nancy, the guy that was basically trying to, you know, scam the live channel and push people towards some other influencer's channel, he left a comment. Come on, guys. Come on. All right. Oh, here it is. Oh, Octavius did leave one? No, I don't think I did see that. Wait. Go back. I only see 2 comments on here. One was some quality info and the Nancy's one. Maybe your comment is stuck. Let's see here. Comments. Held for review, maybe? No, I don't see anything held for review. Maybe you thought you commented and you actually didn't. I don't know. It's kind of weird. All users. Yes. Okay. Destination folder. Program data. Anaconda 3. Okay, fine. Yes, we do want that. Clear the package cache upon recovers some disk space without... Okay, sure. I don't wonder why that's not checked by default, but okay. Shave that beard, you darned hippie. Yeah, why does that not show up? Am I crazy here? Now you're making me think I'm crazy, Octavius. One of us is crazy. Here's the video. Our index funds evil. Evil? I thought it was a good hook. I don't know. We'll see. I don't see your comment, dude. Wait. It says there are 4 comments. But one is not showing up. You're shadow banned? Let's see. Maybe it's hiding it and I just don't see where. Comments where I haven't responded. Comments where they're held for review. No, it doesn't show it. I mean, what I'm seeing kind of suggests that you're shadow banned, right? It kind of seems to me like it's suggesting that you're shadow because I don't see the comment. It says that there's 4 comments, but I only see 3. But you can see. Yeah, because it's shadow banned, right? That which would mean that it shows you that you posted it so that you don't think that anything's up, but nobody else can see it. And they do that for robots so that the robots don't know that they're not working. But the thing is that I can see that there is a comment, like when I come to this video, right? And I look in here, it says 4 comments, but I only see 3 comments and one of them is mine. By the way, I love that one too. PayPal says he can't see it either. You'll put in another test now? Okay. You say that in the comments, it says top comments. And you say sort by newest first. Oh, there I see it. There I see it now. Shaves your beard. Okay, so, but let's talk about this though, really. Because you have a real point. Come on, I'm gonna get a little bit further here. Is it giving me 10? Okay. I let it get pretty long here. I think that it come out a little bit more shaggy than I want on camera. So the length is not that. It's maybe half an inch. I think that I shaved it to half an inch. Do I just need to get like pomade to take care of these, you know, wild ones? Or should I just give up on it and not let it get that long? I don't know. Should I not be gray? I also kind of wonder, you know, like I like the gray, to be honest with you. It's just like, well, that's what I look like now. So to me, it's just the life, but like, does ageism start to come into play and things like that? I don't know. On YouTube, totally it could. It totally could, maybe. So I don't know. That's really weird that it was hiding it from me until I clicked all. Well, that's good that I did that, and there we go. Thank you very much for commenting. That should 5 comments on a video, the very beginning, should really help it. It really should. What you should do now is you should argue with me. Like, you should leave a comment and like disagree with me, and like argue with somebody else back and forth for like tons of replies. That's what like really pushes a video. Okay, did Anaconda finally complete? Okay, cool. Dun, 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 dun. Initializing. There's a new version. We recommend you update. Yes. Okay. Quit Avocado Navigator? I guess. Ooh, it adds Jupyter Notebook too. That's cool. Let me try opening it up again and seeing if that... I don't think that updated it. Do you wish to update now? Yes. You will be asked to elevate. There we go. Yes. I recommend that you keep it up to date. Quit Navigator? No. Sign in now. Update now. Update, yes. Yes. No. Current version 260. Available 263. Dismiss. I think that it did update a little bit and then Quit Anaconda Navigator? Okay. Dismiss. It's being super weird. By the way, oh, you know what, man? I wish I was paying attention to that. Very interesting. So we started out, it was a sell. It seemed like a pretty strong sell, and I'm like, what's going on? It's kind of acting like they know something, and I don't think that they do. And I was right, and they reverted. But the thing that's wild, the reason why I'm like, oh, I wish I was watching that. I don't know if I would have taken a trade per se, because look, the cumulative delta has been flat since then. They came all the way back on flat delta. The market makers just let it come all the way back.
Block buy.
Ooh, block buy there now. Let's see if that restart changed it to 263 now from 260. No. It still thinks that it's 263. If I click yes, and then it asks me if I want to quit the navigator. I'm going to click don't show again and say yes. I changed threshold. What threshold? Are you talking about on the YouTube video? No, that's Mary's asking something different. Oh, no. But that was a 4K block trade. It was a 4K buy order that came through there at 19. And a 6K iceberg on the other side of it, by the way. Huh. Well. Okay, so if I do it this time, if I click yes, and I click yes, does it just shut it down? It just closes down. Okay, I'm going to try one more thing. Run as administrator. Look, it went offer again. And it's unusually thick on both sides. Like normally goes offer, there'd only be like 500. Update application. Then I get this. We strongly recommend. Oh. Update now. I just needed to wait. I was clicking dismiss too quickly. Seth, you're so silly. Okay, up to date launch navigator. The number that came from me is 1,700 blocks. Oh, that's interesting. I did see a 1,700 at that spot as well, but there was 4K before that. They are above that price now, though, so maybe they're going to continue through. I tell you what, so there was this thread on student debt, and this person is like, oh, forgiving student debt would be really good for the U.S. economy. Well, yeah, like, people will go and take that debt and spend it. But first of all, that's what they've been doing for the last, like, 4 years. So you're already seeing that stimulus, right? And it doesn't get paid for. Like, the loan is just out there. It stays out there. It increases the money supply. Then it just doesn't get paid back. So, like, there's no hole to fill or anything else like that. It's just you've increased the money supply, and there's nothing to force the politicians or anybody else like that to like, quote unquote, fix the hole or anything like that. So you're paying for it in inflation. Inflation was worse for the last 4 years than it would have been otherwise because of the student debt forgiveness. The amount is small compared to the other factors, okay, but it's still there. It's like half a point. It's like 0.5% every 3 months or something. Okay, so, but Reddit did not like that, and so they're trying to pick it apart and pulling out all of these, like, really common misconceptions that people have, like that the Federal Reserve prints the money. No, they don't. The banks print the money. The banks, it's empirically proven. They've gone through and, like, gotten access to all the systems and looked at the timestamps and everything else. The bank makes the money, and then they reconcile it later. Money is made when you take out a loan. And the banks are the ones that really have the handle on how much money is created. And the only thing that regulates that is the interest rate. That's it. So if you go out there and you forgive people's loans, what that means is money's been created. That money is supposed to be destroyed at some point in the future, and it's not. So it just increases the money supply. Anyways, what am I waiting for here? Oh yeah, Anaconda Navigator to pop up. Okay, so now, oh, I can sign in for AI coding. I don't want to sign in yet. Okay, so this is why Anaconda Navigator is kind of useful, is that then you get all of these things, right? And you can do it by hand. And you can make environments. Huh? Check it out. Oh, look, I already have some environments. Maybe it's just because... Maybe it's just new shell. Wait. PowerShell? No, it's not. So then where is this environment coming from? Oh. No, wait, that's still weird. And it's gone. What I'm seeing strongly suggests to me that Conda, Mini Conda, was installed on this machine. But for some reason, I am not seeing it. The command line is not seeing it. So, if I come in here to see users, my user here, and then there's the dot anaconda. No, it's not that. Dot conda. And then there are envs. And then there are environments that I made back in June, July, which was around the time that I was doing that. So how was I doing it? I must have been doing it like conda command prompt, or maybe anaconda. There you are. So I did have it installed. Wait, so did it show up over in this as a... Oh, look right here, conda. Okay. Matplotlib. Okay. Okay, random matplotlib and numpy. NumPy. Conda create dash name Monte Carlo dash file requirements dot text. And let's see. Okay, so now it's as all of these things that it says, oh, to make an environment, I need to download all of these things. Okay. Yes. Back over here. Yeah, it's right here. This one, I've saved everything. I should just close that for now. Okay. Okay. Conda activate Monte Carlo. Okay, and then we'd say Python Monte Carlo.py. Okay, it worked. Okay, and when you do that, Python Monte Carlo projects. Okay, when you do that, it creates a plot. So here's the plot that it makes. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. Okay. So, now that we got all that working, well, let's come back here. HX Monte Carlo.py. And here we're going to change this. I want to keep these. What if a winner was $400 and a loser was $400? Wait. When I said plot here, okay, it said pass rate was 33.18. R factor 1, win rate 0.5, passed, failed, was about the same. So changing the size of the trades does not change anything. Changing the size of the trades probably just makes you pass or fail faster. Right. I seem to remember from the last time you did this, people leverage and perform worse than random chance. Yes, because our simulation says that like 1/3 of people should pass, but my understanding is that only about 10% of people pass. So that means that people either have negative edge or that they're failing for breaking other rules, like that they lose more than $500 in a day. It's kind of interesting. So I think what I should do to this is, I've got like these variables and stuff at the very beginning. I should make it grab that information from a text file. That way people can modify it a little bit more easily if they're not technical people. Okay, so here's the thought. What if you have a larger drawdown? Oh. So if your drawdown, so the win rate is actually mostly related to the profit versus the drawdown. And when you plot that one, then you can kind of see that, oh, like it really is just random. That's interesting. So coming back So come back over to here. There was this prop firm comparison. This right here. Prop firm match. Find the perfect prop firm for you. And then you can compare them all. I say futures, 50K accounts. I don't care about this stuff. Dude, this is all just a scam for these people to get affiliate links. I wonder how much money they're making off of this. Okay, and then what do you want? You want the profit target to drawdown ratio. So if the profit target is 2,500 and the total drawdown is 2,000, that's not right. One to 0.8, I see. Wait, so can I sort by this? The best one is a 3,000 target and a 2,500 drawdown. What if I get rid of this? Oh, okay. So there are Apex. Oh, and that's why everybody wants to go for Apex, because you're the most likely to pass. But then the problem with them is that when you do pass, they don't honor payouts sometimes. Come up with all of these reasons not to. Interesting. So, like, one of the things about this is that when I originally did this Monte Carlo simulation, the result was not what I expected. I kind of expected that if you were doing certain, you know, if you're using an R factor of less than 1, so you're going to win most of the time, like you're going to win 66% of the time, that your chances of actually passing the combine would be a lot higher. That's what I thought. I'm still kind of like, that can't be right. Well, maybe that changed it a little bit. Oh, actually, we had this as 2,000 originally, right? No, it still comes out to about 1/3. Anyways, I really thought that if you were taking on excessive risk, that your chances of passing would be higher. Now, maybe in reality it is, because I'm doing it as like the result of your trades are really truly random, but the results of your trades are not really truly random. And so if you have a larger target than your stop, it may be better than random, and maybe you do pass more often. Perhaps you could simulate that by saying, like, allowing it to set the win rate manually or something like that. say, I'm getting 5% better than random or something like that. And let's see, to really, yeah. Like what I'm doing is I'm taking a random number and then I'm just saying, okay, like pick a random number between 0 and 1. And then depending on what my win rate is, that determines whether that random number fits in a winning or a failing, right? And what you probably actually need is some sort of a distribution sort of a thing that says like, oh, it looks like this, and this percentage of the time it's this, and you know, so this is 0 and this is 1 or something like that. And then you can change the distribution to be like that and say, okay, yeah, most of the time you get this, but sometimes you get this, and this is twice as big as this, and yada yada yada, and see if that changes it. In other words, maybe the reason that it that your risk management strategy doesn't seem to affect the chances of you passing, it has more to do with the limitations of the model. Try the withdrawal stat, multiple, well, sure. But what this is saying is that by pure random chance, you should be able to pass 1/3 of the time. So I don't know what else to say about it other than that. So in the video that I plan on making, I'll go into that, I'll show you the code, and do the simulation and show the pictures and everything, and show, oh, well, according to our simulation, you should pass 30% of the time. You should pass 1/3 of the time. So like when you see these people, oh, this is profitable, this works out. Well, actually, they were probably just lucky. Like, because by pure dumb luck, you're going to pass it 1/3 of the time. And how many of these people do you know that like they're pulling money out of it regularly and all that sort of a thing? And, you know, when they have to start out, they're doing multiple accounts and not all of them pass, right? I was thinking about Octavius's comment again. I wanted to respond to his comment on the video. Okay, well, so back to the treasury market. Still looks pretty random to me. So we did have this meta order short. It reverted on hardly anything. We have a small meta order long that we got since there was them big orders. Those big orders were about right here on the chart. They pushed up a little bit, came back, and have pushed back to that spot again. So seems like that there maybe are some buyers. And when you come into the S&P 500, they are kind of selling. And we are a little bit past the open too, huh? So the open has been a sell So, and so it seems that although it's not very big, that flight to safety long is coming into the treasuries, and that might be why we're being pushed up. But that the treasuries are not super aggressively trading it. So. Still arguing with this person on Reddit. I'm gonna go and find a Oh, I didn't. Here's a fiscal fiscal multipliers lessons from the Great Recession. We get a good chart here. Individual transfers, government consumption, state and local transfers, tax provisions, PPP. Oh, that's interesting. So this is saying that the multiplier that we got from the PPP program was stronger than individual transfers. Huh. Okay. Okay. And the government consumption is just as effective, as, if not slightly more. That's really interesting. Okay, here's one. Really want something that's got like good charts and stuff like that. This one, you know, this one's too technical for somebody on Reddit to read. So I'm not, you know, I'm sure that there's good stuff in that, but show me a pretty picture. Let's see if there's a study on fiscal multipliers. Fiscal multipliers. Student debt. There you go. Well, this one is actually like directly relevant, but they're more focused on like, is it inflationary or not? Okay. I really, you know what? Like, it really, really irks me when it really shouldn't, because like most people, again, it's this thing that's like, you don't know what people know and what people don't know and yada, yada, yada. But, I'm coming in and I'm trying to talk about, like, from a sound economic understanding. Okay, so there's all of this science and everything about stimulus and how much actual stimulus do we get for every dollar spent, and all of this science about how to calculate those sorts of things and how effective different types of stimulus are. And I'm talking about this, and this person doesn't understand that's what we're talking about. Like, the stimulus that you get from canceling student debt is stupid. It's like 10 cents on the dollar. So, like, you could say, like, I mean, I guess it's stimulative, yes, but if you're increasing inflation, like, there is a cost to it, so you're not really accomplishing anything with it. It's kind of going sideways here. The markets are super quiet today, says Kay. Yeah, I think that the market seems a little off today. The S&P 500 might be getting started. Like, I would expect them to have a little bit of leftover sell from yesterday and then later pose some sort of a rally and see how far they get. Wouldn't surprise me to see today. Well, actually, I would be surprised if today was not a recovery day and was a positive. I don't know if we'll cancel out all of yesterday's losses, but I'd expect that we close higher. But you never know. It's maybe like 60% chance, right? Anyways, priorities maybe sound economic. Well, yeah, like I'm just arguing with a random on Reddit in r/change my view, right? So. I'm arguing within somebody else's subthread too. So the argument specifically is that tuition forgiveness would be good for the U.S. economy. So it's very important that, I think this is one of the things I kind of find funny about a lot of arguments and stuff like that, is that, like, what you're arguing is really important. Like, the specifics of how you word it and all of those sorts of things can completely change the thing. And a lot of the time, in a lot of online disputes, you have people that are arguing two slightly different things based on different definitions of things and stuff like that, right? Because if I were to say tuition goodness stimulates the U.S. economy, and I would generally agree, there is a mild stimulative effect of student loan forgiveness on the U.S. economy. But it's very inefficient. It's very inefficient compared to other fiscal measures, essentially. Like state and local aid, you get a multiplier of about 0.85 to 9, right? And student loan forgiveness, from the study that I'm just looking at here, they estimated it to be 0.1. So it's stimulative, I guess, but not really. Like, it's extremely inefficient. And it does contribute to inflation. Not very much. Again, like, the amount is not very much, but it contributes to inflation. So if the argument was it's stimulative, then I would say yes. But they said it's good for the U.S. economy. And I say no. Because the stimulative effect that you're getting out of it is trivial. It increases inflation. But more importantly, it completely undermines the social contract that we have in regards to debt. You're giving money to people that are the most privileged people in society, essentially, right? And you're telling all of the other people that didn't go to school because they couldn't afford it and whatnot, and did the sound, responsible thing with their money, screw you. So what are people going to do after that? They're not going to be responsible with their money. And that's not going to be good for the economy in the long run. So student debt forgiveness, primarily because of the damage that it does to the social contract, it's an extremely damaging, dangerous idea. And it was really, this whole thing has been a ploy by the Democrat Party to get everybody in debt through school, to create a lot of student debt so that they can nationalize the university system. That's really what it's all about. That's why when Obama was in office, he took all of these measures to make it easier to get student loans and to expand student loans and to push more student loans out there. He knew that it would increase the cost of education. And he was thinking, well, eventually people will get sick of it and then we'll nationalize the universities and make it a government program like it is in Europe. That's what he wants to do. That's was the whole intent. Anyways, that's why I was looking it up. I don't look at Polymarket. I really think you're not the only one. The reason I'm laughing, Octavius, is because especially on the right-wing side of the internet, there is all of a sudden this obsession over Polymarket. And I just do not believe that those markets have enough activity to really gain any kind of real information about the state of the presidential race from looking at them. Like, there's definitely something to be said for, people who are actually have money at risk are going to take a different approach to predicting things and can be pretty good at predicting things. You have to keep in mind, though, also that markets are inefficient. So somebody can come in and they can buy a lot of it and expect to lose or whatever, but be doing it just to manipulate the market or to manipulate public perception. They can. And it's a lot easier to do that this election than it has been in past elections because these markets are so thin. There's not any legal way to participate in a market like that in the United States right now. Like in the past, there was kind of fuzzy things and stuff like that. With Polymarket, you're doing something that has intentionally disconnected itself from the US financial system and everything, because if you were able to spend actual dollars on that exchange, that you would, it'd be illegal. Now there is an exchange that is a legitimate exchange, and I forget the name of it, but they won a court case. So they're setting up markets, I think. And for the next election, you really have a real true market of that type. So next election, I think that those looking at those markets will be a really useful gauge. Probably they're just going to track the polling, though. And, so we'll see. But right now, I'm not convinced. I haven't seen evidence that Polymarket is actually a deep enough market to make anything of it. Like markets change. So you say it's a setup? Well, one of the things that I'm seeing right now is that last week in particular, Kamala Harris was just absolutely dismal. I mean, she really did poorly. And all of her appearances and everything really, really hurt her campaign and people's perception of her and everything else like that. This week, it's not any better on that front. She's still making a lot of gaffes. Her appearances, hurt her more than help her. But she has been starting to promise the goodies, right? Telling black men that she wants to create some sort of a loan program like PPP where they can take out loans, and if you're a minority, those loans will be automatically forgiven so you don't have to pay it back. Saying that she favors marijuana legalization. That one's a little bit like, okay, so that's just going to call everybody's attention to how aggressive she was in DA in prosecuting drug offenses. But it's still a goodie. I kind of think, my guess is that Kamala Harris stems the bleeding a little bit. Like you won't see this in the polling until next week, but I think that you're probably seeing in the polling she maybe comes back a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, the fact that Harris is sinking so hard really only implies the odd makers need more people to dump money into Harris. Yeah. You're talking about, like, when you come in and say she's going to win, like, it's, well, okay, actually, this is kind of an even more complicated and interesting thing, because, like, when you're looking at Polymarket, for instance, these market makers, they're going to be looking at the polling and everything else that they have that's supposedly predictive to determine the chances of her winning, and comparing that to the orders that they're actually getting at that time, right? Whereas you, Uzi, are basically just saying, well, because of the way that the rules are set up and voting fraud and things like that, she's going to win, right? Which is something that I don't think the people doing the odds betting is factoring into their stuff, right? Now, the thing is, well, there have been a lot of rule changes, okay? Republicans have been working hard on that front. And Donald Trump's polling, like, way better than he ever has in past contests. So this is kind of this wild card that is like, how good is the polling? I kind of suspect that the polling is not very good right now. So Donald Trump could be like way, way ahead, or he could be way, way behind, and it's just all of the polling is either case, and the polling is just really bad. And I don't really have a good way of knowing which way it would go, right? The internal polling from the campaigns clearly shows that Donald Trump is ahead, right? If we go off of that, if we go off of the internal polling, Donald Trump's margin of victory right now is beyond the margin of fraud. They would not be able to, produce enough voter fraud to change the results, given current polling. But now on the other side, it will probably be just like 2020. I think you're probably right in that you'll go to bed in not knowing the winner. They won't be declaring the winner. And they might not declare the winner for several days. I watched Mark Halperin interview last night with Tucker Carlson. Okay. Oh yeah, I forget who that is. 20 million new body. Now, where are you getting 20? Where are you getting that number from? You're just talking about the number of illegal immigrants that you think have come into the United States? They sent me 2 ballots last week? Oh, that's crazy. I think it was Carrie Lake was complaining yesterday that everywhere she goes, about half of the voters did not get mail-in ballots, even though everybody's supposed to get one. At least in Maricopa County, where they get like the most votes. Well, so let's go back. What is the explanation? I hate this kind of discussion. There are some things about this kind of discussion that just really like make me, well, okay, but all right. So why is it that we don't know who wins on election night anymore? The reason is because states have greatly expanded mail-in voting. And in those states, they basically say, as long as the ballot was postmarked on or before election day, we will take it. So they have to wait several days for that mail to get delivered. And the amount of mail-in votes is large enough to affect the outcome of the race. And that's why there are some areas where they're like, they can't call the race until like 3 days after. And what happens with those? Yeah, anything could happen with them. I mean, the whole implication here is that, you can, during that time, you can find ballots and or you can manipulate ballots and do all of these sorts of things. Do we have any proof of that? Not any kind of like smoking gun, I can perfectly prove it sort of stuff. No, just kind of suspicions that it could happen and that there'd be nothing to really prevent them. It's perfectly normal for late arriving ballots to 100% swing one way. Actually, I would say yes. So in 2020, remember, in 2020, it was a big deal. Republicans were very upset about the mail-in ballot thing. And all of the Republicans were saying, no, you should go and vote on election day. So Republicans, by and large, voted on election day. And Democrats, by and large, voted by mail. And so you're going to see like a really huge disparity. And yes, even as such as that, it's entirely possible in some counties you would get mail-in vote, and the mail-in vote was 100% for Joe Biden. This election, you shouldn't see as much of that. This election, Republicans have pushed that you should do the mail-in voting too. That it helps the party know, where they need to focus their efforts on, which, because basically what they'll do is they'll say, okay, we don't know what the votes are going to be, but we know how many mail-in vote ballots we've gotten in that area. And we know that we've gotten more mail-in ballots in this area than in this area, even though they should probably be equal. So that means that we should focus our get out the vote efforts on election day itself in this area that's kind of low, right? So Republicans are saying that's why it's useful. You're going to see more Republicans use the mail-in balloting this time around, and it probably won't be nearly as tilted. Nope, you'll never get it. I mean, I do get it. You're making an argument for something based on circumstantial evidence that doesn't actually prove something. Yeah, it's late because of mail-in ballots. And you'll never get sufficient evidence. Well, I don't know about that. I think that it'd be hard to get sufficient evidence, and I think that they would, if there was evidence, that they would work very, very hard to suppress it. But it could happen. As an example, there was this case where I think it was a guy in Pennsylvania. He was, delivering some sort of mail, and he went to go and deliver it, and they said, we have to do something here, hold on. And he waited for hours and hours and hours, and what were they doing for hours? And then it wasn't until he had been sitting there for forever that he went and looked, and he realized that he was carrying ballots. And there's a court case about this that's been floating around for 4 years and is still there, for instance, that could potentially, or Republicans at least believe, that court case could result in voting fraud charges. So it's possible. It's possible. Even though I personally think that it's unlikely, but how would we determine what's likely and unlikely? We're only saying that because of our own biases. Okay. But again, I'm saying when you go and you look at things like the numbers, the amount of voting fraud that they could pull, essentially, it wouldn't make up for the amount that Donald Trump has had right now. Wouldn't make up for it. It is beyond the margin of fraud. Today, I don't know what's going to be on election day. Seems awfully close. Seems awfully close, right? But the point of that is, if you want the race to be called on election night, then you have to say that election ballots have to arrive before, or mail-in ballots have to arrive before election day in order to count. If you say, or you don't have mail-in balloting. And why did it only happen in 2020? Because most places didn't have universal mail-in balloting. You had to request it, and you had to have an excuse to have it in order to get mail-in balloting. Yeah, meanwhile, here in Utah, I've been living this nightmare now for, a decade already. The AP, what's that? APWU? Oh, the American Postal Workers Union? Yeah, could they commit fraud, maybe. Can you back up that it's beyond the margin of fraud? I would have to go and do a little bit of digging to find where I was pulling that from. I didn't make that up. That was somebody else's conclusion. And they had numbers and all of this, and I agreed that it was good. So one of the ways that you can kind of narrow this, because it's a really complicated thing, right? There's a lot of swing states and there's lots of different rules, and just narrow it down to Pennsylvania, right? When you look at Pennsylvania, the rule changes that have happened in Pennsylvania, the margin that Donald Trump has, and then you add on top of that voter identification. More people are identifying as Republican than a Democrat now for the first time in 50 years or something like that. And you look at the voter registrations, that the number of voter registrations that they have picked up in Pennsylvania as well. And then you look at the past election and you say, okay, here's what we thought it should be, and here's what we actually got, and here were the number of votes that came in from mail-in balloting that some conservatives say might be fraudulent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you find that Donald Trump's current margin of victory is larger than that, amount of fraud that they could pull. Do Americans not? You do. They're supposed to allow a certain amount of time. I don't know what the rules are, but your company is supposed to give you time to vote. I don't know how much of a factor that is, to be honest. There's no way to know. Here in Utah, if you live in a Republican area, voting is so easy. You go down to the elementary school and, you know, you don't even have to wait in line. There's more voting booths than there are people at the voting location, and it's all fine and hunky-dory. And then when you go into the most populated areas where people tend to vote more Democrat, there's like only one polling location for the entire county, and you know, you have to wait at least 45 minutes, if not several hours, to be able to vote. And how many people does that deter? Like, how much does that suppress the vote in those? I don't know. I have no way to quantify that. But there's, you know, and this comes back to this other thing, which was like with 2020. So there's this assumption amongst Republicans that it was a fraud, right? In my opinion, the best evidence that we have of fraud, and it's very circumstantial, is that they said we're going to stop counting for the night because there was a pipe leak or something like that, and then they actually didn't stop counting. And when they came back and they gave the next update, it was a huge jump for Joe Biden. And so you saw all of the charts go like, sure, okay. That's the best evidence that you have, and it's circumstantial. Could there be alternate explanation for it? Well, yes. Or at least there are official explanations for it. It's up to you to decide whether you think those explanations are sufficient or not. But I'm not going to question it. My whole thing has been, you know, I'm concerned that voter fraud could happen. And I feel that the legal standard that they're putting up, you know, for there to be a court case to go into discovery and to be able to find the information that would prove that fraud was happening is too high. And they dismissed some court cases in some instances, like saying, well, you don't have standing to question it, right? So it's like, oh, voter fraud totally could have happened, but you would never be able to prove it in court because you don't have standing, right? So my whole complaint is that it was never allowed to go to court. So how can I say, right? Like if it had really been allowed to go to court and they had a full court case and everybody was allowed to do their discovery and, you know, and then it came out no fraud, then I would drop it, you know? But otherwise it's like I can't say that there was or there wasn't because I didn't think that I was given enough information to be able to see it, right? But is there an explanation for those aberrations? Yes, and the explanation is that, you know, 2020 was a unique election. There were a lot of election rule changes and things like that, and the rules of the game do affect how many people turn out. And in 2020, it helped the Democrats substantially. Right? Whether you believe the sun rises as a result of Earth's rotation, or you believe God lives on his shoulders, the sun is still going to rise. Well, okay, but you're talking about something that's directly observable, right? Because what Republicans are saying is there's this reality that's being hidden from us that the elections are fraudulent, but we cannot prove it. Because it's not allowed to go to court. I mean, that's really the Republican argument, right? I mean, I made the argument because that's how I felt. I was like, I wanted to see it go to court. Yeah. And this comes back into this whole thing again that it's like, it really depends on like what you're arguing and all of these sorts of things, right? So if you were to say, The argument was there voter fraud in 2020? Well, then the answer would be yes. There was voter fraud, and because if there's even one instance of voter fraud in 2020, then the answer to that question is yes, right? And there was people that were prosecuted for voter fraud in 2020. In fact, my recollection is that there were Republicans that were prosecuted for voter fraud in 2020. So we can say, yes, there was voter fraud in 2020. So you have to ask a different question, right? Because that's not really what we're getting at, is it? So you'd have to ask, did voter fraud in the 2020 election affect the outcome of the race? That's the real question, isn't it? For that, we can't prove that. No, we can't. Do we need empirical evidence for everything? I think that if we're going to say that the election was stolen, that we need to have empirical evidence for it, yes. But see, the argument that I'm making, or my opinion on it, is not that that the election was stolen, or rather, to be more specific, that voter fraud changed the outcome of the race. My argument is that there is enough suspicious activity around the 2020 election to justify a court case that would allow people to use court methods for discovery to investigate. That's my argument. And the U.S. court system disagrees with me. So that's that, right? It reminds me, I'm nobody's brought it up, but like this is the thing with the Asmongold thing too. Is like, what is he actually arguing? So if you're not following this, there's a Twitch streamer named Asmongold, and he presents himself as a moderate. Something that I'm finding is that most of these people that are out there, like outright calling themselves moderates and that sort of a thing, are actually very right-wing and just afraid to associate themselves with being right-wing. It's like those are the people that all of the Democrat name-calling and saying that Republicans are all evil all the time, those are the people that have been affected by that and are afraid to associate as Republicans. But what we're seeing right now is most of those quote-unquote centrists actually are right-wing. And he made this comment on his stream the other day about Palestine. And I don't know, like you have to go and watch his comment. I don't want to try and like present like what he was trying to say or what he said or anything like that. Like, you're just going to have to go and read the words and see what you think about it. But oh my gosh, the drama that came out of that was unreal. It was a little scary to me because basically people were saying that he was basically saying that he didn't care if the Palestinians were genocided, is what they were saying. I don't think that that's quite what he was saying, but it's one of those things where it's like, again, people don't use logic. They're like a chat GPT, right? So you got especially liberals, are all reading everything that you say, and, running one of those comparison things, right? You know how you can like go on the internet and you can give it a bit of text and then it will tell you, was this text generated by AI or not, right? Well, Democrats, what they're constantly doing is they're taking everything that they say and then they say, was this text generated by a racist, right? And basically what happened was they took what Asmongold did and put it through that processor, and the answer that came out, yes, he is a racist. That's what happened. Even though he wasn't necessarily advocating for genocide or whatever. But the key thing is that, well, not the key thing, but the language that he used that I think really, really kind of set them off was he said that Muslim society is inferior is inferior, right? So you use the inferior. That's got to be racist, right? So you got all these people arguing about it. Like some people are saying, well, but that's not what he said. Like, let's look at what he said. And then you got all these other people like, no, that's what he said was racist. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, if you look at it logically and what he said, maybe people are misconstruing what he said. Yeah. But when you look at the words that he chose and the feeling and everything, yeah, it does sound racist. Like, why would you choose to say they're in inferior society, for instance? Right? But I find it a little bit alarming because we've had this argument on this stream before too, haven't we? Right? Where it's like I am not. I am adamantly opposed to this mass immigration in Europe, where they're intentionally importing as many people as they can, and primarily from Muslim countries. And I think that you're importing people that by and large do not share the same values as you, and that's going to come back and bite you at some point. And it's not a good thing. I am concerned about Sharia law being imposed in parts of Europe at some point, in 100 years or so. Okay. I don't approve of those things. And there are many things about some Muslim society that I very, very much disagree with, like their treatment of LGBT people or their treatment of women. Now, that's not all Muslims, right? It's like most Muslim people seem to be pretty modern. Like when I look at people from Saudi Arabia, for instance, they are pretty modern. I actually get along really well with those people. Like when I worked for the bank, there was a lot of, well, not a lot, but there was a handful of people that they were Muslim, and I got along really, really well with those people. I had more in common with those people than I did everybody else, because, like I'm LDS, they don't drink, I don't drink, those sorts of things. Like, it's kind of funny, like Mormons have more in common with Muslims in terms of like culturally, like in terms of like their approach to like the practice of their religion than a lot of Christians, because a lot of Christians, like they don't really practice their religion. They just think you do whatever you want, right? Okay, so like I'd say that by and large the Muslim community is okay and can coexist with the rest of the West, but there are some, like the people in Hamas or the people the Taliban, right? That is just absolutely diametrically opposed to everything that I believe in. It's incompatible, right? That's true. So I've said that before, right? I think that is to some extent what Asmongold was trying to say, right? So like, if I was more popular, would I get canceled for what I've said in the past? I don't know. Maybe. Seth, you have one of the most rational minds I've seen. I probably don't have the most rational mind you've ever seen on the internet, but you just didn't know it at the time, right? That's what's the most likely. But I am unusual. My line of thinking is different from the average person's. I'm particularly, I know it's a weird thing to come in and say, I'm particularly unique, especially when you're talking about this sort of a thing, because it makes it sound like, I think I'm better. I think better than other people. It's not that. It's like, I have a life situation that's unique to other people. I have ADHD, but I was treated early. That means that I have this ability to utilize the ways of thinking that ADHD and autistic people use that can be beneficial to them. And I can utilize the ways of thinking that neurotypical people use and are useful to them. And that's all packaged up together in a package of a person that is on the medication that suppresses the limbic system and causes you to be more rational in the way that you think. And on top of all of that, I'm aware of it because I spend so much time studying and thinking about it. Okay, so there's not many people on this planet like that. And that's why what you get from me seems to be so different from the way that other people think, right? And it's not necessarily better. I think that there's some significant disadvantages in some cases to that, right? I will dismiss like other people's feelings. It's like I can feel them, but it doesn't seem like the most important thing to me at the time. Okay, so let's see here. What were we saying? There's a correlation in with Islamic societies, their wealth, and how progressive they are. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are different from Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, not only in progressive tolerance, but in individual wealth and income. People in the UAE aren't poor, so they aren't as backwards. Well, yeah, but like I would argue. So like I think the real test case for that one is Iran, because really what the question then is what's cause and effect, right? Does being rich cause you to adopt more progressive values, or does having those more progressive values make you rich? And I would argue that the test case here is Iran. Because Iran did very, very well and was very progressive in the 70s. And then the Iranian Revolution came in and they forcefully imposed an extremely conservative regime that the most of the people weren't down with, frankly. It was imposed upon them. And since then, Iran has done very poorly. And so I would argue there is some case to be made, and let's not say like, what was the word that you used? Progressive tolerance. I don't know if I necessarily want to use the term progressive tolerance, but there are some of these values and ideals and things like that that do help you be more successful. So I'll tell you one that I know of, and I don't know if this is, well, I don't know. I'm just going to talk about it just because it's on my mind. I'm just thinking about it. We got like 15 minutes left, okay? Organizations that adopt a no-blame mindset tend to grow faster and perform better. So if people are constantly afraid that they're going to lose their job or that something bad is going to happen if they screw up, then an organization does not perform as well. As an organization where everybody feels secure in their position and that they feel that they can make mistakes without really negative consequences coming to them. And then they have, it's kind of funny because those people have the confidence that they can go out and make mistakes, they actually end up making less mistakes, which is kind of funny. You know, like if you have an organization where it's like, and like, frankly, this is kind of what Trump does, right? It's like, you're constantly afraid, like, if I don't perform up to Donald Trump's expectations, I'm going to get fired. That actually probably hurts his performance to some extent. Kind of interesting. And that is something that I do see among Muslim, you know, where like some of these really conservative Muslim societies, part of it is making a large portion of people afraid to do things. Or frankly, this is another reason why I think that the left is flailing so hard, is that they're basically have this whole thing set up to be like, if you engage in wrong think, then you will be ostracized. And that has negative consequences on people to the point that it makes it difficult for you to grow and foster competent people. The culture that you're seeing on the Democrats right now, I think, works against developing competent people. Yeah. But you're probably thinking more about LGBTQ as acceptance, diversity, and stuff. But you know, when I was originally talking about this, right? the sorts of values that I'm talking about are like freedom of speech, freedom of religion and association, right? Okay. The Taliban does not believe in freedom of religion. They believe that everybody should be forced to practice their form of religion within that country, right? Yes, liberalism. Probably the values that I care about the most in regards to this conversation is liberalism. There is, I would say, the Muslim world by and large is compatible with liberal values, but there is a portion of the Muslim world, and it is a pretty large portion of the Muslim world, that is diametrically opposed and incompatible with liberalism. Yes, that's true. That's true. And I do not support policies that involve a large number of people immigrating to my country that do not hold liberal values. Does the majority of the Muslim world outright? Sure, that might be true. But I'm just giving you the example of like when you talk to the Prince of Saudi Arabia, okay, what he thinks seems to me to be compatible, right? And then that extends to, within that particular conflict, I 100% support the people of Israel. And I think that obviously you make mistakes. There are things that happen in war that shouldn't happen. And so it's not like you can like unequivocally say everything that the Israelis have ever done is perfect. They're perfect little angels or anything like that, right? But I would say I do support the Israeli people, and I don't support Palestine. They voted for genocidal maniacs, and it's sad to see. I think the mistake that Asmongold made is that his comments seem to be indifferent to the loss of life and the toll on the people in what are we talking about? Gaza. And I think that was kind of the mistake they made. I think he kind of realizes that. Okay. Well, I remember last time we were talking about this thing, I remember saying several times, like, I'm not advocating for genocide. I'm saying I'm kind of concerned that that's the direction it's going, though. Right? Yeah. So I think that's still controversial. Like if Hassam Abi or whatever was watching this, I think he'd be very upset about me saying that. I don't support the Palestinian people at all. I think that everything Hamas is doing is evil, and the biggest enemy to the people of Gaza is Hamas. And the problem is that like their whole society has basically been set up and brainwashed to hate the Jews, and I don't know how you fix that. I don't know if there is a way to fix that. I'm sure the Prince of Saudi Arabia plays friendly with the world because it's the oil hub of the world. Nah, okay, here's the thing. There's many of these guys like princes and business leaders and stuff. They talk about this stuff, and they're warning the Western world. They're saying like, look, our society it's going pretty good. We're doing pretty well. But part of the way that we've been doing that is that there is a part of our society that is no good, and we minimize them. And what your guys are doing is you're supporting them and importing them. And that's bad. Like they're straight up saying that stuff. I think that they do honestly believe that you know, that they can play a part in the world and that like everybody can get along. They are not like secretly like, let's just lie to the infidels until we have enough people that we can impose Sharia law on the whole world. And they don't believe that. Not all Muslims actually believe that. It's like it's in the Quran, but they don't. They either ignore it or they interpret it differently or something like that. There is no good outcome for the Israel-Palestine thing. I see no reason to get angry about people who are fumbling around trying to make sense. Well, and that's the thing with Asmongold. He's not, like, listen, he is not my kind of guy. He's just not. I'm sorry. No offense, Asmon, you're watching this. I highly doubt that he would ever come on my stream. But he's not my kind of guy. Like, what's my thing? I'm the kind of person that puts artwork up on his wall that says integrity, excellence, and teamwork. Okay, you know, like most millennials' homes, it's like live, laugh, love, and they have the little text on the wall. No, mine is like integrity, excellent. Okay, I literally I have that on the wall in the kitchen there. Okay, and Asmongold does not appear to me to be somebody that values excellence. He's like, maybe I'll get around to cleaning the house. I don't care if I look like a hobo. Like, it's not excellent. He's not my kind of guy. Okay. But for all fairness to him, all right, he is just like an average person. Kind of like he said, just trying to make sense of something. And I think that he kind of has the sentiment of it pretty good that like the Israelis are really the good guys in this content, as much as you can call anybody in a conflict like this the good guys, but let's say the people that we should be supporting, and that it's a very, very unfortunate, but that the people of Gaza kind of brought this on themselves by supporting a genocidal regime. And that's not to minimize that, you know, there are a lot of loss of life, and it's a very, very bad thing and everything. But it's just an acknowledgement that this was kind of the inevitable consequence of the path that they chose. So anyways, Asmongold got banned for 2 weeks. We'll see what he does. It'll be interesting. That's the thing that drives me. Is I read the comment that I watched the comment that he made, and I was kind of like, well, I don't think you should say it that way. I'm not sure, you know, first of all, what does he actually mean, and what did he say, and what does he actually believe, you know? So maybe he misspoke and kind of didn't express himself well. I wouldn't express myself in that way because you seem callous, like indifferent to loss of life, and I think that that's kind of a problem thing, right? Okay. But I really don't think that justifies a 2-week ban from Twitch. Okay. Meanwhile, Hassan literally has terrorists on his stream, promoting the stream, saying that America deserved 9/11, all of these awful things. They've never done a thing to him. Never done a thing to him. Kind of messed up in my opinion. Like, the best thing right now would be for Asmongold to be able to like be on stream and articulate better what he actually thinks, and to say, you know, like, I was not trying to say that like there should be genocide, and I wasn't trying to minimize that there is a loss of life here and everything, you know. So it's an interesting thing. Probably it makes Asmongold more popular. Probably it makes him more popular. That's the way these things always go, right? It's also interesting to me. You guys are really interested in the discussion about the immigration and all of that. Well, yeah, this is part of the reason why I come down where I have in the political spectrum, right? Like, in 2015, I was just a Republican, okay? I was concerned about, the way that certain things have been going in society and all of that, but I was still like your traditional conservative Republican, and I voted for Mitt Romney. I really supported Mitt Romney, right? And then Donald Trump came along. I still remember that first debate, man. Oh my gosh. The first debate was so funny, so crazy. There's just nothing else will ever compare to that one debate. And what I did was, I had worked for campaigns, like we helped Milo's campaign. So like, it was like we had a get together with all of the people that were like super involved in volunteering for campaigns and stuff like that. Like the Republican Party had a little debate watching party. So I go to the debate watching party, and it was so weird, like watching it, because like we're all like your traditional Republican kind of person, the kind of person that would be like, really skeptical of Donald Trump and like, this is just a sideshow and let's just get him out of there, right? And then you watch it, and it's like, well, okay, he's breaking every rule. He's not doing things the way that I would do, but you can't deny that it's working. And all of these policy wonk stuff and all of these sorts of things, like you throw him out the window because he's going to win. It was immediately apparent right from the get-go. And then Mitt Romney came along. Because I like Mitt Romney. I read all of his policy platforms. I thought that his policy platform was really good. And Mitt Romney came in and trashed Donald Trump for every policy that Mitt Romney had adopted during his campaign. That was kind of the shift for me. Was when it turned into, okay, like not only is this guy going to win, but he actually believes and wants to implement the things, whereas these other politicians like Mitt were just saying it, and they don't actually want to implement these policies. Like, holding China accountable. I don't think that across-the-board tariffs are a good thing, but you can't just let them steal all of our industry. That's not going to work out for the country in the long run. Or like the one that Mitt Romney promoted that I care about the most is that there shouldn't be a capital gains tax for average Americans. That you should be able to invest as much as you want and not have to pay a tax on it. Get rid of 401k accounts and just let us invest our money wherever we want. And as long as it's not over a certain amount, we should be able to invest. It's so interesting. You think about it, like, where would you invest if it was just all tax-free? I don't think that you would put it into an index fund, to be honest with you. I think you'd put some of it into an index fund, but I think most people would invest it into their own businesses. Oh, that would be competition. That's why you're never going to get it. That's why I came down where I did. Because I was sitting there watching it, and then I'm talking to people, and I can see like he's actually addressing the things that are hurting people in this country that are hurting. And these other politicians, they actually only care about themselves. With the new capital gains tax is going to ruin Canada. Oh yes. Dude, you keep talking, this whole thing is like, when talking about the Ukraine situation, and people are like, if there was a dictator like on your border, wouldn't you have something to say about it? Wouldn't you maybe want to do something about it, including possibly military action? No, because there is a dictator on the northern border right now, and nobody says a thing. Everybody just kind of puts their head in the sand and pretends that Canada is not just nosediving. Is it really 63%? Yeah, you can listen. Some of the things that they're trying to pass in Canada are really bonkers. It's crazy to me that the craziest thing about that whole Canada situation is that it's gotten that bad, and that the left-wing parties in Canada are doing so poorly amongst the populace, and yet they are still, Trudeau is still able to cling on. They're not able to get a call a new election yet. Haven't been able to do it. That to me is so mind-blowing. He has fake eyebrows. He's soon, hopefully, yeah. I say hopefully because I really think that Trudeau is hurting Canada, and Canada's an important ally. Weak Canada hurts America, and Trudeau is making Canada weak. Will likely decrease, yeah. You know, I'm really, you know, one of the things with that whole thing is like, okay, what if the United States imposed a tax like that? Would would it be that easy for the money to just leave the United States? I suspect that it is. And given how much of the US economy is financial services, that would be devastating. That would be devastating. If the United States did it and it turned out bad, I think that would forever end that discussion. And nobody would ever bring it up again. Yeah. Yeah, Norway, they increased their capital gains tax and they lost 500. Yep. You know, there's some arguments. There are some things where it starts to get in more nuance. So, you know, a more pertinent discussion right now is the tariff thing, right? By and large, tariffs are bad. Okay, by and large, tariffs hurt the economy. Okay, having open trade creates more economic growth. Okay, but we've kind of been sold this bill that like all tariffs are bad. They created the Great Depression. Not true. And ever since that happened, you know, we've had no tariffs, and that's why society has become so successful. Bullshit. Okay? There's never been a time. I don't know if there's ever been a time in American history where there was not some sort of tariff in place. Okay? There are always tariffs of some sort. They are a tool. They are a necessary tool. Yes, they have negative consequences, but sometimes you have to protect yourself, and those negative consequences are worth it. Okay? There's always some sort of a tariff. Joe Biden didn't cancel Donald Trump's tariffs. He could have, because those ones were just imposed by the president saying that they were national security risks. And Biden said, yeah, they are national security risks, so we're going to keep the tariffs on. Okay? Donald Trump's thing that he says where it's like there should be like an across-the-board tariff on China, probably a bad idea. Probably a bad idea. He doesn't have the power to do it. There's no way that he would get any law passed. It's not going to happen. But probably a bad idea. So the conversation about tariffs is actually way more nuanced than the online discussion about it is. Kind of annoying to me. Oh man, if I had to pay most of my quote unquote capital gains, right, are sitting in tax advantaged accounts. But if all of the sudden it was like they just took your total net worth, including all of your tax advantaged accounts and everything, and you had to pay 4% on it, like everybody did. It wasn't like you had to be over several $1 million before it would affect you. But just if it was on everybody, that would be so devastating to me. It would. Like the amount of money that I would have to liquidate and pay every year to the government, it would harm my ability. It would harm your ability to save for retirement. It would harm your ability to save for school. It would be so bad. Yeah, it It really would. Now, the capital gains tax that's been proposed is like, only if you're a multimillionaire and all of these sorts of things, but it would still be a super, super bad thing. But again, here's the thing you got to understand about Kamala Harris, okay? Here's the thing that should scare you about Kamala Harris, okay? Being 100% I'm taking off the analyst hat here, the political hat, 100% the political hat here right now, okay? The thing that should scare you about Kamala Harris is that she was an economic major. She knows that things like a unrealized capital gains tax or wealth taxes are absolutely terrible ideas. She knows the economic history of them. She knows that they're bad, and she pushes them anyways because she knows that her base will eat them up. She has absolutely zero intention of trying to actually implement those policies. It is 100% a manipulation used to buy votes. And leaders that are willing to do that to you so brazenly are not good for you, generally speaking. I don't like that Donald Trump he's trying to buy votes too. I think that just because he's impulsive, though. Like, he's just sitting there thinking, what can I tell them that they would like the most? And then it just comes out. Okay, probably gone too far. But I was enjoying talking. When we talked yesterday about politics, I was kind of like, I went too far. Shouldn't have gone into that. Today, you know what? Today was not the best action. I kind of thought that it being Wednesday, we should probably get better activity today than we did. But it was really like that initial run and then reversion and then nothing. So who knows what? And you know what? The S&P 500, well, they did recover the initial loss. They recovered the initial loss and extended, but then they came back down. So that's kind of going weird too. Dicey over there. CL ain't doing anything, but I switched over to natural. Well, I tell you what. I have never traded natural gas, but when I look at my list, it is always the biggest mover. And so I kind of suspect that trading natural gas is like suicidal. Like, I'd be careful with that one. Okay. That one's we can't call it the Widowmaker because like nobody ever trades it. But if people did trade it, probably would be the Widowmaker instead of NQ. Okay, guys, I'm going to end the stream. I'll see you tomorrow, Thursday. In the meantime, stay excellent, team.